Hey y'all, and welcome back to another video by UmbrasDarkness. In today's video, you guys, we're going to be doing it on the Ants Underground Kingdom. And we will be covering 5 do's and don'ts when you first get into Lost Island, and a little bit as you progress, and a little bit before Lost Island. So with that, you guys, the very first do is the second that you get into Lost Island, and I've said this a lot of times. The second that you get into Lost Island, you need to take all the nodes you can, whether that be level 5, level 6, whatever it is. As you can see, a level 6 has tier 10 troops, so level 5 is what most players will be going to with T9 troops, and just take all of your nodes right away. That's going to be the very first do. It's going to start you off on honor. You're going to gain more nodes, etc., etc. Your second do is you're going to want to do your 10 lizard rallies immediately after taking all of your nodes. The reason that you want to do that is lizards. So we'll go to a level 30 lizard because you won't have geckos yet. Lizards drop your resin. So you definitely want to do all 10 of your lizards inside of Lost Island, so that way you can get a go on starting off your buildings, right? Your third do goes in line with that. Do build everything the second you get to Lost Island. Don't wait for a CA. Don't wait for anything. Go ahead and build absolutely every building that you can the second you get into Lost Island. This will unlock more nodes via honor, right? This will unlock more nodes via honor. And with that, you'll be able to steamroll the honor thing. So that's number 3 on the do's, is do build every building the second that you can. There is charts, I believe, in my Discord for which buildings are mathematically the best based off of resin from honor. But in general, I prefer maxing out my troop type. So mine is carrier, obviously, and my queen. I believe the 3 best based off of math are these 3, but as you can see, I don't really level them up. So my strong recommendation is to level up your queen and your carrier nest. And if you're feeling spicy, these 3, as you do get season 10 troops the first 3 days. So this will impact them the second that you start Lost Island. Your fourth do is you do want to gather anytime you're offline. The reason you want to gather anytime you're offline is because of the Lost Island store. So in the Lost Island store, you can get Lost Island fruit for every time that you gather. The more that you gather, the type of troop that you gather, or resource that you gather will impact how much Lost Island fruit you get, which enables you to buy stuff like building resin, exotic shells, your bioessence, and a 1-star insect and creature remains. As you can see, those are the things that I buy. So that's your fourth do, is do gather anytime you're offline. That does mean that you're only going to want to do stamina down to 10 stamina, so that way you can gather and then just AFK your creature hunting until you're done. Your final do is hunt creatures after lizards. Hunt creatures. So creatures will always give resin, doesn't matter what type they are. You won't have hornets right away, but you'll have level 15 insects. So as you can see, level 15 insects do drop resin. So your fifth do is do hunt wild creatures. So those are kind of your 5 do's, your very first things that you want to do when you get into Lost Island. You're obviously going to run out of stamina, so you're going to have to come back and play efficiently. If you don't want to gather, because so free to play, you're going to want to gather. Pay to win, you're going to make enough Lost Island fruit that you don't necessarily have to gather the second that you go in. But that kind of like builds up your repertoire and gets you into a good habit of what you should be doing every Lost Island. So those are going to be your 5 do's. All right, so let's go into the don'ts. Your first don't is do not wait for the alliance or whatever in order to start building towers and taking fortresses. So a common thing that people do, and our alliance did it too, is you space out building towers and taking fortresses, so that way world round you can try and take fortresses and get that experience and stuff. While this sounds like a good idea and it builds camaraderie, if you're technically speaking the most min-max efficient thing to do, not waiting is better because you get nodes based off of alliance influence. So you are impacting your overall ability to capture nodes by waiting for other players and spacing it out, because you want to try and get to 150,000 influence. Now, after you get 150,000 influence, feel free to space it out. Do whatever you want. But impacting your influence overall is a bad idea. Now, you can also calculate, right? If your alliance influence is X, will this next layer, or will the layers planned for the rest of the day get me to the next milestone? So the very first day, you can see that they're a little bit tighter, and then they start spacing out a little bit more. So maybe you don't have to take the layers, but I would not, if you want to play the best, I would not wait to take layers and residences. Again, personally, my alliance did, and that is the way that you should do it, because you should build camaraderie in the alliance. But technically, do not do that if you care about the number of nodes you're going to get and your overall honor. My second do not applies before Lost Island, as will my third. So my second do not is do not use stamina the last 8 to 10 hours before you go into Lost Island. You want to go into Lost Island with 100 stamina. As I described in my do's, there's a lot of things to do the very first day. So with that, you want to go in with a lot of stamina, and you do not want to use stamina the last 10 hours, and you do not want to do like lizards or insects before you get in. You do not want to collect clay before you get in, etc., etc. So basically, do not log into the game for the first 30 minutes of the day before you go in, because you don't start Lost Island until midnight 30. And do not use stamina the last 8 to 10 hours of the previous day. So that's going to be my second do not. The third do not is going to, open some eyes, and you're going to send this around and be like, UD said this. The third do not is do not drop power. Do not drop power. So here you can kind of see Discord does acknowledge that matchmaking in LI is no longer about alliance power. It includes number of active players, player evolution, especially T10 tree, alliance evos, etc. The thing that has been talked about is the number of troops doesn't actually mean real power. So why are we counting it? Ultimately Lost Island comes down to seasoned soldier ants and stuff like that. So troop power, while is included, is weighted to be significantly less than what it used to be. Dropping troop power just hurts you. Do not drop troop power. Do not drop power going into Lost Island. All right, the fourth thing that you're going to want to do, or do not do, is talk smack inside of season chat. So this is going to be difficult for some people, especially if you have like that bad ant, but you do not want to talk smack inside of season chat. Your allies and your opponents and your hate and your love is going to change based off of things that go on and stuff like that. And a poor member, a poor R4, things like that will definitely impact your ability to get the tree, get clash wonders, etc., etc. So do not talk smack in season chat. Do not allow your members in there, stuff like that. It should be very basic amount of chat in there. You should try and keep it out of there. Or if the chat is rolling and it's friendly and stuff like that, build camaraderie, but do not talk any type of negativity inside of chat. Someone takes your node, someone, upsets you, just walk away, block that person if they're being, negative in any way, but do not talk smack. You're going to harm your alliance. You're going to harm your ability to do well inside of the season. So that is your fourth do not. Your fifth and final do not is do not change your class away from cultivator unless you're never cultivator. Do not change your class away from cultivator for the first 17 days. So until your 17th day, you're not going to be doing PvP. While your tunnels do open, you're still not going to do PvP because your tunnels or your initial starting bonus is almost impossible to overcome. So you're not going to really be doing PvP until your 17th day when you're in the clash area. And then maybe after people have 3 or 4 clashes, then they're going to be able to invade starting areas. So do not swap away from cultivators so you can gain more Lost Island fruit, which enables you to do to be able to get all the resonance stuff from the store. And then your sixth do not, which is kind of a bonus one because I don't necessarily agree with the first do not. It's mathematically correct to not wait, but I don't necessarily agree with it. So your bonus do not do is do not save your building resin. Now, this is going to be hard for people because it's free 9th chest or 8th chest inside of it, but your initial like week or 2 weeks, you don't necessarily want to save your building resin because building resin enhances buildings, which impacts your total honor. So if we go over here, check rankings, and as you can see, your anthill enhancement impacts the total amount of honor that you have. Because of this, not upgrading your buildings the second that you can, the second that you have enough resin, impacts the number of nodes that you can hold. So if you're aiming for 40,000 honor to be able to heal troops the most efficiently, then you're gonna want to utilize your resin as you get it. That's gonna be your sixth do not, is do not stockpile resin. All right, you all, thank you guys very much. Welcome back to the videos. This is my first video in a long time. I don't have a Patreon page to show up, so I'll be getting that modified, and I'll start using the Patreon page definitely with my streams and with my videos upcoming. Otherwise, you guys know how we do it when we do it over here. You can catch me in the YouTube comments. I do try to monitor those as much as possible, but I do get limited number of push notifications. You can find me on Discord. I'm technically still the #1 talker, although my mom definitely talks a lot more in there. Or worst case scenario, you can find me on server 7 or server 260. Until next time, y'all, stay humble, stay happy, stay hungry. Bye, y'all.